Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for NBC 16 at 5. I'm Alan Matthews. Police say a shooting suspect is still on the loose and is considered armed and dangerous. Junction City Police are looking for 44-year-old Victor Burgoyne. After Burgoyne and his girlfriend broke up, police say over the last 2 days he's become threatening and violent. Police Chief Bob Morris says he fired multiple gunshots into the home of the parents of his girlfriend in Harrisburg Tuesday night. Morris says that they got word of another shooting at the home of a friend of his girlfriend. The suspect has also threatened to kill multiple other family members and friends if the girlfriend didn't meet with him.
All of Burgoyne's anger and threats are isolated only to friends and family of his former girlfriend. The general public, I don't believe, is in any kind of danger from him, aside from the fact if they happen to see him.
Burgoyne is 6'3" and 163 pounds with a clean-shaved head and hazel eyes. He may be driving a white 2003 Ford F-350 license plate 521LBY, possibly towing a damaged 20-foot white Outback trailer. If you have any information, you're urged to contact the Junction City Police Department. A man is behind bars and facing more than 200 charges in a sexual abuse investigation. Cottage Grove police say David McCutcheon reportedly abused a girl for several years. Eugene police had started an investigation into McCutcheon in late May. Cottage Grove police say he confessed during an interview. Charges against McCutcheon include rape, sodomy, and criminal mistreatment. A federal judge has ruled that Portland police can no longer use tear gas to clear out crowds unless lives or public safety are at risk. The order lasts for 2 weeks unless it's extended or another judge ends it. The decision was the result of a class action lawsuit accusing police of using tear gas against protesters without cause, violating their First Amendment rights.
Night after night, we started seeing tear gas being deployed on mass groups. You saw that beginning on May 29th, and there's arguable constitutional authority to do that. But after that night, we didn't see the same kind of looting. We didn't see the same kind of property damage. What we saw was groups of people massing around the Justice Center in downtown Portland, and tear gas being used on them. And tear gas is a very dangerous substance.
Portland police has acknowledged the judge's order and the guidelines have been put in place. We're going to take a live look at the Capitol Hill right now, where Philonise Floyd, George Floyd's brother, called for lawmakers to act following his brother's death. He spoke before the House Judiciary Committee during an oversight hearing on policing and law enforcement accountability. NBC 16's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman is on Capitol Hill with the pressing challenge that lawmakers face.
When you watch your big brother, who you looked up to your whole entire life, die begging for his mom, I'm tired. I'm tired of pain. Pain you feel when you watch something like that.
Pleading with Congress to see exactly what he did in those moments his brother died at the hands of police. Philonise Floyd demanded system-wide reform.
Is that what a black man is worth? $20? The people marching in the streets are telling you enough is enough.
Democrats' Justice in Policing bill tackles everything from a ban on chokeholds to a database documenting excessive use of force. Long overdue, they argue, saying young black men are 10 times as likely to be killed by police than other Americans.
I hope the Republicans will be responsive to that pressure. And frankly, anybody who stands in the way of it is going to get bowled over.
Republicans acknowledge common ground, but complain they were left out of this process and are working on their own version for later this week.
They didn't even talk to Republicans when they released their bill. I think they were trying to make a statement. Obviously, with what they did in the visitor center, dramatic kneeling for 8 minutes. It was kind of more show business than anything else. What I'd like to do is try to figure out how do we solve the problem.
Senator Cornyn telling us that what he had already been working on with Senator Gary Peters, a Democrat from Michigan, and will continue to push, is a criminal justice commission, a bipartisan group that within 18 months will report back with specific passable reforms, kind of like what happened after 9/11. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
Senator Jeff Merkley is a co-sponsor of the Justice and Policing Act of 2020. The senator spoke with us this morning about aspects of the bill, including a national database to track police misconduct. Senator Merkley said the goal is to have a deterrent for individuals committing bad acts to make sure they are not simply able to take a new job in a different jurisdiction. The senator also mentioned the need for the conversation at all levels of government, not just federal.
We really need to attack this challenge at every level. So it's very important for the city to have a conversation, for our cities across the state to have a conversation about their practices, their departments, their training, their rules and regulations, their enforcement, their investigative practices, their transparency, all of this, as we're having a conversation with the state legislature and at the federal level.
According to the senator, Republicans appear to be crafting their own version of the bill, and he hopes that there is substantial overlap between them. Local leaders hope to bring change to Eugene amid the conversation about racism and police reform. One Eugene City Council member, Greg Evans, has been speaking out for over 3 decades. Evans has been part of the City Council for 8 years. He is also the only African American on the council. He says although it is too early to see the changes of the current protest, Eugene City Council have been having conversations on making the city a more welcoming place.
We have worked on some changes incrementally that have happened that have been in a positive direction, but it's not nearly where we need to be. So hopefully this time we will make more substantial progress toward positive change and towards eliminating racism.
Evans is a father and hopes for a better future for his children. Coming up on NBC 16 at 5:30, NBC 16's Cassandra Gutierrez will join us in the studio to share more about Evans' experience. Another rally in support of Black Lives Matter was held in Douglas County today. NBC 16's David Ochoa was there and talked to protesters from both sides.
A chorus of horn honks rang out in front of Fred Meyer as people in Roseburg showed their support for Black Lives Matter. This was the 3rd rally protesters have had on Garden Valley Boulevard.
Just thought it was really awesome to see the last several marches and rallies that have been out over the last couple days in Roseburg, and I really personally believe that this isn't something that should die out. I think it should be continued, and it needs to be something that sparks lasting change. U.S.
Census Bureau figures show Douglas County is about 92% white. A common theme at these protests is that it's important for people to stand up for the minority population who might not have a voice.
It's important to recognize the legitimacy of every human being and the constitutional and Declaration of Independence that all lives are created equal and should be treated equally and properly. And when you see that's not the case, you can either be silent and let it go, or you can say, no, that's not right. Something needs to be different.
But there was more than one protest on Garden Valley today. Across the street, a lone protester expressing his support for police.
Personally speaking, I don't really agree with the platform that Black Lives Matter has as far as eliminating or, getting rid of police departments.
Despite the disagreement, Cooper said he was glad to see people out taking advantage of their right to protest. It was cordial and peaceful. Reporting in Roseburg, I'm David Ochoa.
The sunshine was definitely a welcome sight across western Oregon today as temperatures sat about 5 to 10 degrees above where we were this time yesterday. And coupled with that, we also saw higher humidity values right around 50 to 60% through the valleys, even greater amounts out and along the coast, kind of making it feel slightly on the muggier side with our feel-like temperatures into the mid 70s, low 80s down towards the Umpqua Valley for this Wednesday evening. But we did manage to squeeze out just a few raindrops into the rain gauge early this morning, 1/10 of an inch, the breadwinner out towards Newport. But radar and satellite slowly starting to see the increased cloud coverage from the coast working its way further to the east, but the popcorn clouds remain overhead for the Eugene-Springfield area. Temperatures tonight, though, fall back into the 50s with increasing clouds, and tomorrow we yet again start to warm back up into the 70s, but I am tracking our next potential widespread rainmaker. I'll have all those details in my full forecast in just a few.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh. We do have an update now as Chad Daybell appeared in court today, hours after human remains of 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old J.J. Vallow were found on his Idaho property. Daybell is now being held on a $1 million bond. Daybell was arrested Tuesday after authorities issued a search warrant at his home in Idaho where the remains were found. Daybell is charged with destroying evidence. The children's mother, Lori Vallow, has been in jail since February after she was arrested for non-support of dependent children and deserting her children. Her preliminary hearing is set for July the 9th. Daybell's next hearing is scheduled for July the 1st. Blaine County is confirming the first case of bat rabies this year. A South Eugene resident was in their yard at night when a bat flew into them. They reported it and public health officials tested the bat, which came back positive. Officials say it's a good reminder to stay away from bats and keep your pets vaccinated for rabies. They say to avoid letting your pets outside an hour before and after dusk when bats commonly feed. They add that bats are a critical part of the ecosystem and should not be targeted or killed. A man police say stole groceries off a porch in Springfield is still on the loose. Take a look at this Ring video from the house in Springfield. Police say that the man is in his 30s with a large tattoo on his forearm. They say the suspect left the house in a black Dodge Caravan with a female driver. The couple he stole from are in their 90s and typically order their groceries online. Resident Mary Lou Smead says they lost about $75 worth of food.
We're getting to the age where it's hard for us to get to the store, to drive out and stuff. I was mad. Hey, I wish I were there and asked him what he's doing.
Springfield police did reimburse the couple for their loss. Police recommend installing a locked drop box or having your items delivered to your workplace is a good idea. However, if that's not possible, another option is to be on the lookout for your delivery on the day it's set to arrive. Again, if you have any other information on the suspect, you can contact the Springfield Police Department. Coming up on NBC 16 at 5, it's been nearly 2 weeks since protests started in Eugene. We checked in with Lane County Public Health to find out how they're preparing if a possible spike in coronavirus cases were to happen. Plus, a long-term care center in Portland is facing more lawsuits. How many people have filed against the center regarding COVID-related deaths?